And good evening, everyone. All about the gyro here. And finally, we have a set calendar for the 2021 Season 1 campaign on iRacing. So, firstly, greetings and salutations to all from Music City here in Nashville. Secondly, I am very excited to be driving in season 1. There's been so much wonderful content, and as you see here, we have 4 championships that we are wanting to contest. Let me move that one over. There we go. Now it's all together. So from left to right, the ILMS and the Endurance Series, the IMSA Series, the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, and our beloved Spec Racer Ford. So the times that you see at the top are local to me here in Nashville. So think Central Time here in the United States. So for those overseas, -6 GMT. So one of the things that you'll note is Spec Racer Ford and IMSA run at the same time. And then the Michelin Pilot Challenge also runs at an even time. And then the ILMS is the odd one out, and the amount of minutes underneath it is the race plus the qualifying period plus the brief practice rounded up to the nearest 15 minutes. This has not been easy to put together, but what we've tried to do is balance some workloads because the middle block of 4 weeks, the Daytona 24 hours is going to be very prevalent in those 4 weeks. So, all of the cyan are the races I am committing to. Those that don't have color is okay, do I feel like it? And the ones that are in red are the skips. Now, this may evolve, but the general idea is start at 8 or 9 races because we're going to have multiple attempts at the 3 main series. And depending on what happens with Spec Racer Forward, we may do that on Thursday for a second session. It depends. Because we're now going to use the 4 attempt rule to get the best possible championship score for that week. So, the first 2 weeks, as you see, they are packed. There will be a lot of racing. Week 3, we're going to skip out on Suzuka with Spec Racer Ford and focus on the 3 main ones. And then week 4, we're skipping out on both Road Atlanta and Long Beach because Le Mans is a 60-minute race, which means that's now like an ILMS situation. And to kind of give us a little bit of a mental break so that when we enter week 5, it's going to be Daytona for 3 weeks. As of right now, we are committed to Silverstone and IMSA and Lime Rock as Spec Racer Ford. Now, the beautiful thing about this is if you look at IMSA, we already have 9 weeks we would like to commit to. So we can skip Silverstone and hit our minimum 8 weeks. Remember, the best 8 weeks is what they choose. So you can drop 4. And knowing that Silverstone comes at us in week 8 for ILMS, that may influence um, our decision there. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how work schedule is. We'll see how everything else works out. But right now, we're going to try to do both. But depending on how I'm feeling mentally, we may drop Silverstone, and that way we can give maximal focus to Daytona Road Course. So if that happens, you'll see 4 ILMS races. We'll figure out how we will pair it off with Spec Racer Ford, and we might have some fun races. So we might do Sin Lab depending on where it's at, just as a change of pace. So week 6 and 7, we are skipping the ring races for ILMS. IMSA is a 75-minute race, which means it's a 90-minute block of time. Now, normally that would mean we're dropping something else, but because we have Race at Road America in the Spec Racer Ford, we know what to expect. In Montegi, we will have the experience of IMSA to know roughly where the braking zones are. I think we'll be able to swing it. Week 7, note it is a light week. No Suzuka race. Cue sad face because I love Suzuka. It's a great circuit. We will do the Daytona Road Course for Michelin Pilot because we will be very proficient in it by then. We've kept the Roval open just because we have the Daytona 24 hours that weekend. Right now, it looks like we will be racing with Mountain Trout Racing Concerns for that. Right now, I believe it is still the 911 RSR. We'll see how that plays out. But I wanted to give myself a light week just because that endurance race, we're going to give it the full beans. So that leads to week 8. So the Silverstone discussion reappears here. I've kept Interlagos off. I might do it. I might not do it. At this point, we already have 6 races of our 8 in. It may give us a we may take a break that weekend from IMSA. And same thing with Okayama, just because of Daytona. So another week where Spec Racing 4 will potentially get multiple races. We may do, depending if SynLab has a good track that week, we may do that as well. But have a little bit of a light week recovering from the Daytona 24 hours. And in the final 4 weeks, notice I have put in some blocks of circuits we are not doing. So if we do Charlotte Roval and Spec Racer Ford, we will potentially do a drop either in week 9 or week 12. Depends on how the car goes in testing at Sebring Club. Because the last races of the year is Le Mans and Sebring. So they're, we'll already have track experience, but we'll also know where we are in our division for GTE for championships. So The other thing that might happen here is Interlagos may drop off, and I may race. Right now it's in red, the Nürburgring GP. That might change just because depends on workload. So I say for the first part we're pretty set, but then the last 4 weeks are subject to change. So gives you an idea of what we're committing to. Now let's talk about timings. So all the times I'm talking about is central time, so I'm talking about local time. And it is contingent, of course, on work. So on Monday, if we have Spec Racer Ford, we will do the very first session. It is by far the most popular session. Looking at last year's statistics, on average, 51 people showed up for the first race of the week. That means 3 splits. So, on weeks we're doing Spec Racer Ford, we are definitely going to be keen on getting into that. Then we're going to have a little bit of a practice session and then do our first, and you'll see numbers, so there's session numbers. Our first Michelin Pilot Challenge race. That gets us to about 9 o'clock local time. Good start to the week. Tuesday is going to be strictly ILMS. Now, there's an asterisk here where if I have an early work day, we are going to do the 5 and 7 o'clock program. But if I don't, we're going to try to do the 7 and 9 o'clock program. Now, that 9 o'clock may be a little dodgy depending on what's going on Wednesday. Wednesday at work, I have a couple of important meetings that is weekly. So this, we'll see how it plays out. Put it that way. Now, on Wednesday, and I didn't type it over in the right column here, you will see the first IMSA session when we do Spec Racing Ford. When we don't do Spec Racer Ford, you'll see IMSA session 2, followed up by session 2 of the Michelin Pilot Challenge. So basically, the idea is by Wednesday, we will have done, if we are using a non-Spec Racing Ford schedule, we will have 2 bites at all the major apples. So that opens up Thursday, where we look and go, okay, where are we? What series do we need to work on? And we'll drive that series on Thursday. We may also do some fun stuff on Thursday as well. This is change of pace. When, though, we have Spec Racer Ford, we owe ourselves an IMSA race, the second session on IMSA on Thursday. So this statement here is not applicable because we owe ourselves an IMSA race here for the second session. And that way we always have 2 bites at the apple. So, basically by the middle of Thursday evening, we will have done all of the events, whether we're on the left schedule or the right schedule, twice. So that opens up Friday and Saturday's flex time where maybe I don't stream on Friday. Maybe if I have a great IMSA result early in the week, we might only do it once. We'll see how it plays out. Let me make sure I clean this up here. But you get the idea of what we're going to be doing on the channel. And then, like I said, Friday and Saturday's flex time. There is a GTE challenge that happens 6 weekends. I believe the odd weekends that are based on the ILMS schedule. So Sebring is coming up. This is recorded on Sunday evening. That GTE challenge will show up on, and that is a B license series. Will show up this coming weekend. And so the times for that is at 0700 hours GMT, 1800 hours GMT, and on Sunday at 1400 hours GMT. So obviously the 1800, so that will be noon here in Nashville. And we'll be participating likely in those. Looking at their calendar, we will be dropping weekend of the 26th because that's the combined Nürburgring layout. I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have any drops in that series, so stay tuned. But anyway, that's about it. So tomorrow, which will be the 14th of December, we are going to start off with Spec Racing Ford from Oran Park, and then we're going to head over to Spa to race the Porsche in the new livery around at Spa. Take care, everybody. Make sure you take care of yourselves and one another. Goodbye for now.